Live from the campus of Southern University, it's the Bottom Line TV show, bringing real truth to today's problems. And now, your host for the Bottom Line TV show, Mr. Bruce Walker.
Welcome to the Bottom Line, and I'm your host, Bruce Walker, first giving my obedience to Christ, who's truly the head of all of our lives. This week, we're joined by a gentleman whose political career has spanned 5 decades. He's presently running for the 6th congressional seat, and he's a legacy in politics. Mr. Edwin Edwards, join. Welcome to the Bottom Line, and as y'all can see this week, I'm sitting here with a young man that really don't need no introduction. His political career has spanned 5 decades. He's never lost an election, and it's truly a pleasure to be sitting here with our former governor, Mr. Edwin Edwards.
Well, I'm glad to see you, Brother Bruce.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And, let me thank you for taking your time out to come and sit here on the Bottom Line and speak to our audience and give them a chance to get to know you a little better because, I'm not that young, but I'm a little young. And because your political career has lasted so long, there's a lot of younger voters out there who have heard of Governor Edwards, but never really got a chance to intimately get to know him. So let's start off a little bit about, I know you're born and raised here in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And I know some of the wonderful stuff that you've done, but let's take a minute and give you a chance to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us about your wonderful family and how much you love Louisiana. And we all know how tirelessly you've worked for us over the years. So just tell us a little bit about the king.
I don't know about that, but I love this state.
Amen.
I was born in 1927, a long time ago, and I grew up in the Depression. And my family was tenant farmers. We farmed other people's property. And at the end of the year, we gave them a third of what we made by the sweat of our brow. I grew up as a teenager picking cotton. And I decided early in life I didn't want to be no cotton picker because that's not a good way to spend their time.
Amen.
So I did something that every American has an opportunity to do. I went to a public school, got a good education, and I took advantage of it because this country is made for people who want to better themselves.
Amen. Amen. And I guess that's part of the reason you've always been so successful because your story is common like the average man. It's one thing to be able to sympathize with a man's plight, but it's something totally different to be able to empathize. And believe me, it's a lot of us have a history of picking cotton in our days. So I guess that's why a lot of us has always been able to connect with you so much. But I know you've one thing that I know I definitely want to ask you about that's current. I understand you recently done a reality TV show, which I got a chance to watch a little bit of, and I think it's a wonderful experience. Tell us a little bit about what made you want to do it and what you got out of it.
Only one person in the world could have made me do it, my wife.
Amen, amen.
If these people are married, I don't have to explain. If you're not married, I can't explain. But I'll tell you something, there's nothing real about a reality show. It was all scripted, except the one episode where I was turning out the lights.
Amen.
I grew up in the Depression in a poor family, and we were very conservative. I didn't have electricity in my home until I was 16 years old. And when I left the room, I had to go to the middle of the room and pull a chain on a drop card with one light bulb. But I did it because we couldn't afford to let a light bulb run when nobody was using it. Now, the kids, my wife's 2 children by her first marriage, are just kind of careless. They walk out of a room for the night or the day and leave the lights on. And while that's not very much, it's wasteful. it wastes energy, and a light bulb will heat up the room and cause the air conditioning to go up. And I'm just too conservative to do that. So I'd go behind them, turn the lights out. I never beat on them or raise hell with them, but I tried to instill upon them, look, we having pretty good times now, but it's not always going to be that way. And what you waste today, you may want for tomorrow.
Amen, amen. You know, you just a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and I hope you know we're not just gonna let you sit here for 30 minutes and run off. So I hope you're prepared to be here with us for an hour.
Brother Bruce, I know about you. I'm prepared for whatever you want to throw at me.
Amen. Because you know we about the truth in today's problems. That's what we do here at the bottom line, and that's what we want to talk about, and that's what we want to bring forward. Now we have some bills to pay because this show not free. So we're gonna take a quick pause for a commercial break. And when we come back, we just gonna let you talk to our people and inform them about who our new former governor is presently today. Don't y'all move. We're gonna have some fun this week. We'll be right back.
See the entire Tag Heuer collection today at Elgin's Fine Jewelry.
Let First Choice entertain you. Get a 42-inch flat screen HD TV, audio bar, and Blu-ray player with Wi-Fi for just $19.99 a week. Plus, get a $6 Redbox gift card as long as you rent. Come to any First Choice location for details or go to firstchoicerto.com.
First Financial of Baton Rouge, an accounting firm, approved to prepare, audit, and submit financial information for claims due to the BP Deepwater Horizon spill. If your business is located in Louisiana or Mississippi and you had lower revenues in 2010 than any of the previous 3 years, you're eligible to file. First Financial of Baton Rouge has filed over $80 million in claims. Look, there's no risk. Call today. 663-2382.
Louisiana Laserderm. We are a cosmetic laser facility and treat all skin types and colors and specialize in African American skin. We offer hair and tattoo removal. Do you want to get rid of that stubborn fat and cellulite with our new Venus Freeze? Men and women, come in, get rid of those irritating ingrown hairs and razor bumps on your face or anywhere on the body with just one hair removal treatment. Call Louisiana Laserderm at 490-9090 and check out our monthly specials on Facebook and online at lalasderderm.com.
Welcome back to the bottom line. And if y'all just joining us, like I said in the opening, I'm sitting here today with a gentleman who really needs no introduction. Our former governor, Mr. Edward Edwards, and he's presently the candidate for the 6th District Congressional seat, and we're going to support him on that as well. But before we get to all the politics, we get to know you a little better, Doc. And I know that you got a 15-month-old baby and a wonderful little wife at home, and we ain't going to ask you about all the intricacies of being able to be, what, 87?
87.
87 and responsible for a 15-month. You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
I'm a good man.
You're a good man. All right.
I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm still good.
Amen. Amen. That's what I like. And that's what we here at the bottom line is going to focus on, is bringing out the goodness and letting people know the truth about who Dr. Edward Edwards is, because you've been a pillar of our community, and not just our community, across this great state since before I was born. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about your wonderful wife. And I know it's a little interesting little story how y'all met.
I was in prison, as you know. Shouldn't have been there, but I was.
Amen.
I didn't whine and complain about it. I walked in at 75, facing a 10-year sentence, and I told my family, don't you worry about your daddy. He's coming out alive.
Amen.
And I did. And I want you to know something. When I was in prison, I did the same thing that I did when I was free. I did what I could to make life better for people around me. You'd be surprised how many inmates in prison have no family, no friends, and no money. A lot of them can't read or write. I was the head librarian. I got books for them. I prepared powers of attorney for them to send back home to do their property transactions. I wrote and read letters for those who couldn't read or write. I helped a number of them get their GED. I made myself useful, and in a small way, within the rules, I made life a little bit better for my fellow inmates.
Amen. Amen. And you know, that's why you sit here today, here again, because you know God in His own way going to use each and every one of us. And you know, just because you had to stop off, I'm quite sure those gentlemen whose lives you touched while you was there are greatly appreciated.
I hear from them all the time.
Amen, amen. And you know that is a blessing that you would even still find time to care and support when things would seem to be so incumbent on yourself. Uh, now we glad we finished with all of that because we gonna let the past be the past, and that's what it is. But I understand that's where you met your lovely wife at.
When the book came out, I got about 3,000 letters from people who had read it, many of whom said they changed their mind about me because they learned the truth.
Amen.
Because a lot of things written and said about me simply are not right, not true. But that's part of the political game, and I understand that. One of the letters I got was from a lady in Alexandria, not far from where the prison was, who told me she was a Republican, and she was, and she is. She's still a Republican. I found out something good to do with Republicans. You sleep with them.
Amen. Amen.
But she said she was interested in my life because it had kind of changed her opinion about me, and she wanted to meet me and talk to me about it. Well, I wrote her back like I said, look, I have a short visiting list. I have a large family, a large number of friends who want to visit me, and I just can't squeeze you in. So she wrote back and said, look, I really think I need to talk to you, and I hope you will make arrangements for me to see you. And she sent a picture. Well, I looked at that picture and I said, well, the picture's probably 30, 40 years old, but I'll take a chance. And I arranged for her to come to visit me. And she came, and of course I was amazed at how beautiful and young she was. Well, when she sat in a visiting room with me for 8 hours, from the time it opened until the time it closed, and all we could do was talk, couldn't even hold hands. But while we were there, we got to know each other, and she said, listen, I only live 30 minutes from the prison. I'm free most weekends. I'd like to come back and visit you. Well, I'm 80 years old, in prison, broke, and this young lady wants to come back and visit me. That's like throwing a rubber raft to a drowning man. I said, of course I'll make the arrangement. So to her credit, she came every visiting day after that, except one weekend when she took her children to a soccer match. On Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, whenever there was a visiting time, she showed up. And I was the hero of the camp because they talk about that old man with that good-looking woman visiting him all the time. It made people think I was somebody.
Amen.
And I was very proud of that. But you know, when visitors would come, half the inmates would line up at the windows of the dormitory to watch her walk across the parking lot.
I done seen her on the news. She is beautiful, Doc.
And it really helped me not enjoy but tolerate the prison conditions because I could look forward to her visit. Anyhow, we decided in prison that after I got out, we would continue seeing each other. We learned to love each other. I know why I love her. I never could figure out why she would love me, but so be it. I'm not going to try to educate her. I'll just let her stay in her ignorance and think she's in love with me.
Amen. Amen.
I don't want to lose what I got. Having said that, we then got married, moved to Gonzales, where we've been living, and we arranged through in vitro, which is a medical procedure now, was not available 40 years ago, but it is now. And she was, by that process, she was impregnated with my sperm. So the child is mine, no question about that.
Amen.
There's There's a more pleasant way of getting it done, but this one works just as well.
Hey, man, and
Now,
I'm glad you answered that, Doc, because I'm quite sure it's a lot of viewers out there still questioning that 15-month-old baby.
but
So,
when you look at that little baby and look at me, you know where he comes from.
you
And
know,
I'm very glad of that.
they say the apple don't fall far from the tree
That's
neither,
right.
huh?
And this is a fine apple, I'll tell you that.
Amen, amen. And you know, that's probably the best Republican Democrat story I've ever heard right there.
Well, that's a pretty good one, and they don't come any better than that because she never voted for a Democrat, but she's going to do that. Or she voted for me last Tuesday.
Amen.
But that's her. She's a good Republican, but she's not one of these crazy Republicans who want to stomp on everybody and run poor people in the ground and take away Social Security and food stamps and the things that make life a little bit better for so many poor people who don't have what the rest of us have.
Amen.
You know, government is made to serve people,
Mm.
not to bother them, not to get in their bedroom, watch what they're doing, tell them what to do, tell them who to marry, what church to go to. Government should be supportive. You want to open a business and hire people, government should support you. You want to work as a farmer, government should support you. We ought to make an environment where people can do what they wish to do as long as they're not bothering somebody else.
Amen. Now, for y'all who paying attention, that's a good description of the role of government in one's life today. And that's what we all should be advocating for. There is a particular role that government should play in our lives, but it also should have a limit as well. So,
Right. As you know, last Tuesday the Republicans swept the country. Practically every Democrat with a Republican opponent got beat. I beat 9 Republicans in one day, and I'm going to beat the last one on December the 6th.
amen, amen. We got to take one more. Don't get too feisty now, because I got to keep you here for a little longer.
All right, I'm with you.
All right, so we got to take another little short break. But don't y'all move. We'll be right back with our good friend and former governor, Mr. Edwin Evans.
For 20 years, First Choice has made your life better with our great selection of brand name furniture, electronics, and appliances at flexible payment plans to meet any budget. And at First Choice, there are no credit checks, no one's refused. Come into any First Choice location or shop online at firstchoicerto.com.
Hello, I'm Reverend A.J. Johnson with Baton Rouge AIDS Society. For the past 2 years, Baton Rouge has been #1 in the country with the highest rate of AIDS cases. And 2 years before that, we were #2 in the country. My thing is, let's be part of the solution and not the problem. Get tested, get your results, and get on with your life. If you think you don't have time to get tested, call 923-AIDS at Baton Rouge AIDS Society and become part of our anytime testing program. We test 24/7, 365. No needles, no blood, and get your results in 20 minutes. Get tested and know your results.
See the entire Tag Heuer collection today at Elgin's Fine Jewelry. If you only download one app, that app should be For Woes. And now, the last Sunday of each month, someone's going to win a For Woes app gift bag. Just click on the menu tab at the bottom and like our Facebook page. It's that easy. Then write a quick post so we know who you are. Just simply state, I should get the gift bag because it's that simple. Remember, the last Sunday of each month, we'll pick a winner.
Welcome back to the bottom line. And if y'all just joining us, like I say, I'm sitting here with one of Louisiana's all-time finest politicians, and it's really a blessing to sit here with him today and get a chance to reconnect. A lot of us younger voters have heard of the good governor and some of the great works that he's done, but it's so seldom that we get an opportunity to sit down and connect the way we are getting to connect today. Because when we see him on the news, we only get like 15 seconds or a minute of his replies. So today, we've given the governor an opportunity to bring us up to speed on what he's been doing. And speaking of that, Governor, I know you've been consumed lately with running for that congressional seat. But other than that, what have you been doing with your life?
Everybody should have the good life that I had.
Hey,
I was
man.
born into a great family. My mother and father never were more than a half a mile away from the house. Every night at 5 o'clock, we ate supper. Wasn't much, but we ate around a table like families should. Don't see much of that anymore, and that's bad. But we grew our own food, all our vegetables, our meat, hogs, cattle, geese, turkeys, chicken. My daddy was a very good provider. My mother always made a good garden. I'm lucky in a lot of ways that my health is what it is, but I think it's attributable to the fact that we ate food that didn't have all these artificial uh, things in it that I think is contributing to a lot of ill health in a lot of people. The other thing is, I had a very stern Presbyterian father who was very against tobacco and alcohol. And I know many people don't believe it, but I grew up without a cigarette or any kind of tobacco and without any kind of alcohol. And by the time I got old enough to be able to purchase it, which I could have done when I became a lawyer, I was too smart to try it, so I never did try it. But when I finished high school when I was 16 years old, a year later, after going to a year at LSU, I joined the Naval Air Corps in World War II, and I was learning to fly an airplane on aircraft carriers when the war ended. Thank goodness I didn't have to fight. I came back to LSU and I finished law school when I was 21 years old.
Good, great.
And I had never been in a law office because I came from a poor family. Nobody in my family had ever had a college education. I was the first one. Having said that, I moved to Crowley where my sister and brother-in-law were the Nazarene ministers, and I started practicing law there. I could speak and read and write French. And in those days, there were a lot of elderly people who, although they understood English, they preferred to speak in French because they understood it. They were more comfortable with it. And so I got a great clientele of French-speaking people. I represented them against big companies, insurance companies, and oil companies. And I made a very good living. In 1954, I was elected to the city council. In 1958, I was reelected. And then I didn't run for a third term because I was going to run for the state senate. I was elected to the state senate in 1963. And then in 1965, I went to Congress. This is going to be my second run in Congress. And by the way, that's an advantage I have over new people going to Congress. I'll have seniority over them because I've been there and I know how it works. And I know how to pull the strings and take care of my people. And that's one of the reasons that I want to go. Then, of course, I ran for and it was elected governor. There were 20 people in the race in 1971. I came out first in the primary, and I was in a runoff with Bennett Johnson, both Democrats, and I beat him narrowly, but I did beat him. And then I had to run against the Republican, Dave Treen, beat him too. And then I ran for re-election in 76 and won. And, of course, had to sit out after that because you can only allow 2 terms. And then 4 years later, I came back and beat Treen. I was the first person to beat a Republican governor in Louisiana.
Amen.
And then I had a runoff with Buddy Roma in 1987, and I decided not to run it off because things were very bad, and the newspapers had piled up on me, and I'd had all kind of problems with the legislature at the time. So I said, I'm going to concede this, but I wanted you to know that I'm going to be back.
Amen.
As Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back.
Amen.
Because as soon as you fellas see this fella as governor, you're going to realize what a liar he is telling you all those things he was going to do that he can't do and will not do.
Man.
And sure enough, he didn't even make the runoff. He was so unpopular after his first term. And I got in a runoff with a very well-known fellow named David Duke. I used to tell people the only thing similar about us, we're both wizards under the sheet. And I beat him handily.
Amen.
And then after serving 4 years successfully, I decided to retire in 1986. And I never thought I'd be in politics again. But what happened to me was so unfair and so undeserving that when I got out of prison, I resolved that if ever I had an opportunity to run, I was going to do it. And when the congressman from here decided to run for the Senate instead of Congress, he left a vacancy.
Amen.
So I said, Edwards, this is your shot.
Amen.
And although
Amen.
it's a very conservative district, I'm the kind of fellow that takes care of things.
Amen.
When I was governor, I kept the budget in balance. I paid teachers, bus drivers, lunchroom workers, civil servants. I was the last governor that treated them with any kind of respect. And they'll tell you that.
Amen. Amen. And you know, that is definitely a part of your legacy, is making sure everybody was treated fairly,
Right.
as much as humanly possible could
Correct.
be done. And, you know, Governor, we hadn't had an opportunity to talk much about politics. And we want to really talk about this upcoming congressional race. So we're coming to the end of this show. But I know you're going to stick around, and we're going to continue this topic, and we're going to specifically talk about this upcoming congressional race, because I understand the importance of rallying the Democratic base. And I'm sure after 50 years in this business, you have a Democratic base of your own.
Right.
And if we have any type of chance of overcoming what you are facing December 6th, we need both of those bases rallied
Well, it's
and
been
to
30,
come out.
been 30 years since there was a Democrat from this district. But you're looking at the one Democrat can do it.
Amen, amen. And if you slay 9 at one time, we think you could take this one on.
Oh, absolutely. He was one of those I took last Tuesday. I'll take him again on December the 6th.
Amen.
Because he's not a people person.
All right.
His whole career has been taking care of oil companies and big corporations. I'm a people person. I know how to make government work for people. That's something that turns me on, makes me want to get up in the morning, keeps me young and vigorous and active.
Amen, amen. And I can't tell you, that was so well said. We've come to the end of this half hour, but we're going to pick it up right here and carry it for next weekend. So, here again, I can't thank you enough for coming, sitting down, and opening up and being vulnerable here on the bottom line, and giving our viewers an opportunity to reconnect with who we once known was Governor Edwin Edwards, who now we are hopefully going to become to know as the congressional representative for the 6th district. So, y'all, we look forward to y'all meeting us back here again next weekend. We're going to talk about this upcoming race. We look forward to this young man going back to Washington. And that's the bottom line.
Video by TMB Productions, shot on the campus of Southern University. Set provided by First Choice Furniture. Contact The Bottom Line at contact@thebottomlinetvshow.com. This has been an AG production.